The Thunder Report with Oklahoma City Thunder's Michael Cage. Sponsored by Service Master by Eagle Eye. When you have water damage to your home or business, Service Master by Eagle Eye is here to help clean up the mess. Call 405-216-8000 for help fast.
We haven't worked on anything relative to them yet. We're doing the legwork right now, obviously, but we want to focus on the fundamentals that are going to matter no matter who we play, because we can't predict how that series is going to unfold. In terms of your question, I haven't watched the entire thing yet or studied it yet. Watched a little bit. Our staff's obviously watched it. Similar, like a lot of the same stuff from the regular season, like teams don't change fundamentally who they are. Players' tendencies don't really change. But then once you're in a series with another team, how you interact with that team does influence, who you play, how you play, and that sort of thing.
A little sample of Mark Dagnall at practice yesterday, talking about the next opponent, which is nameless and faceless at this point. So the challenge of getting ready for your next opponent without knowing who that is, that's what Mark Dagnall is tasked with. Michael Cage joins us. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Michael.
Oh,
yeah. You staying dry?
I'm trying, man.
Michael's the last one to know it's flooding because he's tall. So you'll have to give him an update.
Hey, Michael, turn around, don't drown. That's the word of the day, the phrase of the day.
Absolutely. Please. Yes, that's a great word for the day.
So, Mark Dagnall, listen, this is the second time they've had to do this in the postseason. A long layoff without knowing who you're going to play. You got to get ready. I mean, it's probably easier said than done. I know you'd rather have the rest, and we all want the health and the rest, and it's great that these two teams are battling, and they could go 7. But it is a challenge to kind of stay mentally sharp, right?
Yeah, it is. I've been in that situation before, and really, man, it's going from the first round to the second round. It's a blessing. A lot of times you think about, well, you rather keep playing. Not, if you can get some rest and you can work on some things and better prepare, kind of tweak your offense a little bit. I like what Mark talked about. That was a great clip. That teams don't, generally they don't change a whole lot of what they're doing. The schemes defensively, their offense, whether it's the Clippers, or the Nuggets, you just kind of prepare a broadband kind of approach and certainly getting, a few extra days of practice in is never going to hurt you.
Michael, I just have to think you watching the playoffs this year, you've got to love it. The brand of basketball you played and the time that you played, because the referees are swallowing the whistle for the most part. And two guys last year who, I guess, if you sat them down and asked them, do you feel like you performed to your highest level against the Mavericks? Chet and J-Dub would probably say, no, we did not. And so it's adjusting to the physicality from round 1 to round 2 last year it was night and day, going from the Pelicans to the Mavericks. So I think both of them now getting through this first round, and they've had a lot of time to sit back. Chet talked about watching other people play basketball, watching what's going on. They just have to be prepared right now as well as they could possibly be to play through the contact, play through the lack of whistles, all those types of things they're going to be facing.
Well, first of all, I think there's been a shift, and I think it started after the All-Star break last season, and it just slowly got woven into this year, the physicality of the game and how much we're going to allow. And, it's just, letting the players get used to it because – man, I'm loving the playoffs. Really, I'm just loving the contact. I'm loving, players looking at each other and the intents on their face and the possible and the close to dust ups out there. That's 90s basketball, man. I think that's the way basketball should be played. Don't get me wrong on this. Basketball is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. So there's contact out there. And I think, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, contact was somewhat being legislated out of the game. And I really couldn't, because guys couldn't gauge that, man. Guys could jump into you on purpose. Guys could bait you into a foul. And, it was just too easy to get to the free throw line, 4 or 5 years ago. And now this is, this is the game. Okay, this is a contact sport. We're not going to blow the whistle every single time. You think you got foul, And so players have had to make that adjustment. And it's been consistent all the way around. I'll give the officials credit for that. It's been very consistent all the way around. And what you're seeing now in the playoffs this year, man, it is just on display. This is how we're gonna, this is how we're gonna call the game. And it's been great, man. And there's been some close to, blows being thrown and stuff like that. That's all part of the game. We did it all the time in the 90s, and that's the officials' job to kind of measure when they're going to, kind of clean that up a little bit. But so far, there hasn't been anything that's really been alarming to the point where, guys are throwing blows and it just, gets real ugly out there. So I think it's great, and everybody's made the adjustment, and I think the fans are enjoying how physical the games are right now, as well as how entertaining they are.
See, I'm gonna take umbrage with some stuff you just said there, Michael, and this is in a good way toward you. I grew up, my first recollections of basketball were the Bad Boys, Jordan trying to get through that, and Charles Oakley and the Knicks and all that, and Jeff Van Gundy holding on to whoever was it? Whose leg
Patrick
was he
Ewing,
holding on
I think,
to?
wasn't it?
Is Patrick Ewing? Anyway, I will say this: I saw the game the other night where Jamal Murray picked up. Was it Powell? He picked him up, and then the shoving ensued. Here's the difference between now and the '90s. I feel like in the '90s, people were just looking for a reason to throw hands. I think today, no one wants to throw hands. They just want to look tough and push each other around. Do you feel that's accurate?
Well, yes. Here's the deal: is
fake tough guys, Michael.
You have to, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if this guy's doing this, and it's okay, then it's okay for you to do it. And you have to make that adjustment. And I think that's where this game is going back to where it originally was in terms of, you're going to get hit, man. There's going to be an inadvertent elbow to the head or the neck. It's just part of the game at every level. Can you handle that? Can you stay focused? And can you keep your head in the game and not get, take it to the next level where you get tossed? Now, when I played that era you were talking about, we knew how to walk that line, man. I got thrown out of some games because sometimes it's unavoidable, but I learned how to walk that line. And over a period of time, the entire league learned to have that kind of respect for the game in that regards. And I think that after a while, they're going to forget all about how it used to be, just like we forgot about how physical this game is. I mean, it's just a physical game, man. And sometimes I be thinking, all right, that should be a foul. But you know what? As long as it's legislated on both ends of the floor, and that's what I think the officials have really done a decent job of just managing that, the tempo of the game. And that's where I think we're all learning right now. And for the playoffs, I will admit, they're allowing a little bit more going on out there, man. So I think mentally, when you get ready to go to the second round, that's something you got to expect because you saw it in the first round. You got a chance to. This is probably some of the things that teams like the Thunder, are thinking about. The Celtics are thinking about. The Pacers are thinking about. All teams that have moved on to the second round. All right, you know what? It's not something you practice with. The coach say, "Coach, let's have a physical practice and emulate what it's going to be like." No, you just mentally as a ball player, you say, "Okay, I know it's going to be a little bit physical. We saw it in the first round. You're not going to get all the calls. So just take that out of your head and stay focused on the business at hand because we're still trying to win ball games and get to the next round." So I think that's what that extra time, because you're going to get some injuries, man. I mean, I used to feel like a football player sometimes the day after games. My ribs hurt, my back hurts, I got knee in the thigh. And you know what? It's the nature of the game, and we all as ball players learn to make those quick adjustments.
All right, Michael, having watched this Nuggets-Clippers series, what do you think happens? Who comes out of it?
I mean, you know what? I still think that's a toss-up because I thought the Clippers could have won the first two games in Denver. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I thought they gave one away, right? So that could have easily been 2-0. Let's be for real. Game 3, my Lord.
Yeah.
That was that's one of those games you forget about. They just hammered them. They scored only 83 points, the Nuggets, and then they come back and have that miracle shot by Aaron Gordon, and all of a sudden, game on. They got home court advantage back again because they were dead in the water after Game 3. But the Clippers got experience like the Nuggets do. I'm loving the series, man. You saw last night. Denver just said, "Look, man, we gotta win this game. If we don't win this game, this series is not coming back, to Denver." And they did exactly what they needed to do. Jamal Murray, you talked about it, big time game or whatever. It's a toss up. That was the short answer. Let me give you the long answer, Curtis. No, just kidding, man. I already gave it to you.
All right, Michael, let me ask you, based on what happened after the Milwaukee game last night, Tyrese Halliburton's dad kind of acting up a little bit and getting in Giannis's face. Back in your days, you've talked about how physical it was on the floor. I mean, everything you had to go through to maintain your composure. Did you ever run into a situation with, way overly aggressive fans or family members or friends of players you were playing against that really just stepped over a line and you had to remind yourself, this is going to cost me a lot of money if I go over there and do what I need to do?
Well, here's the thing, Spinozzi. Why was he on the floor at that moment?
No, that's a point. Yeah, you shouldn't be out there.
He shouldn't be on the.
If you didn't earn the win, you should never be on the field or court.
You can wait till the players clear the floor. Every single game, after the Thunder play, the players, all congratulate each other, or they go over and there's that mutual respect for their opponent that their opponent exchanges with them, and then security's on the floor, and then they all walk off the floor. I don't know how he got on the floor that fast.
I think he had courtside seats, Michael, so he just ran out there, which just stay behind the lines. I mean, that's
right. That was I thought that was. I don't know what was said. Evidently, it didn't seem like it was nothing positive. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, so that was kind of something that you just don't do, and I'm hoping that that's something that's going to be looked at. And hey, we don't want this to happen, because just think what the dude he just lost 4-1, man. Come on, I'm like, if I lose 4-1, and somebody's, I don't even know, I probably didn't even know he probably didn't know that was his dad, and some guy walks up to me, I'm on the court, ooh.
Yeah, he said that at the press. He said, at first I didn't know who that was and just thought it was a fan. Then then somebody told me it was Tyrese's dad. So, yeah, can you imagine? You're thinking just some dude is up in your grill?
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to expect, because if he doesn't have a uniform at that point in the game, I'm thinking, what does he want? Should I be clenching my fist right now? What is the dude doing? Wait a minute. And then so it was just a weird thing, and I hope that's something we don't want to see in sports. I really, we don't, and I'm hoping that there's a better outcome from that situation, because Tyrese Halliburton is a terrific player. Obviously he says the right thing. Giannis, first class guy as well, and that just didn't fit that moment. You're trying to say, okay, I just want to say congratulations and get off this floor because I'm bummed. I just lost. You beat me 4-1. And we've had, a tough thing losing Damian Lillard to a torn Achilles. I just want to get out of here. And here's this person looking at you. Boy, that's a tough call for most athletes who are still in the heat of the moment.
Well, Michael, we don't know who the Thunder is playing yet, and we don't know when the Thunder is playing yet, but what we do know is we will talk to you again next Wednesday.
Okay. Hey, by the way, umbrellas, anybody? I don't have an umbrella, and I got to go outside here, man. I'm looking out my window.
Can somebody drop
It's not like your hair's going to get wet, Michael. About like back in the day. I mean, you wore it wet all the time.
Oh,
wow. That's a low blow. Or a high blow.
Michael goes that way. John Shaft goes that way on purpose.
Well, what I'm thinking is Just put a garbage bag over your head.
Oh, Phil goes garbage
Old
bag.
school, huh?
Poke some holes in for your arms.
Hey, I know that too.
And my mom used to put like bread bags on my feet over my sneakers. So that ought to work for you. Just to get a really big loaf of bread.
Well, you know what? I'm a good swimmer. I can always swim to my car. But
Perfect.
then again, Curtis said, turn around, don't drown. So I'm liking that too.
I don't think you drown. You just end up on TV and not in a good way.
Yeah, right.
Michael Cage sitting on the roof of his car with the water rising.
Right.
The crit's coming up, Michael.
Michael, have a great week, okay?
All right, thanks, guys.
Hey, Michael.
You take care. We are the Morning Animals on this Wednesday, April 30th. Yes, it's raining, and it's going to continue to rain today. It should taper off late this afternoon into this evening. 70 is the forecasted high. Currently 58 at 98.1 FM WWLS, the Sports Animal.